flow, which you want to hear again and again.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the In Between Overs podcast. We're your hosts for the day's play. As always, I'm Taran.
And I'm Ishan.
All right, heartbreak in Melbourne. If you're an Indian fan, but if you're a cricket fan, you just witnessed one of the greatest test matches of all time, between India and Australia at least. What a test match. The last couple of days it was pure entertainment. Topsy-turvy, ups and downs, roller coaster, lots of nail biting. What a test match. Take it away, Ishan.
No, I could not have started off better myself. Unreal test match to both watch. I'm sure as a neutral fan, as well as a fan, of course, as a fan between Australia and India for sure. Days 4 and 5, it was incredible how at the beginning of each day, all three results were possible. Beginning of day 4 and beginning of day 5, and that sort of is what you want to see in a test match, and which is why a lot of people advocate for 5-day test matches. So no, unreal test match. I think India, hard luck, some mistakes happen, and I'm sure we'll dissect it all. But I think is pretty much well deserved by Australia. You know, they showed why they're a champion team. They show why they're a very experienced side. But overall, a win for test match cricket, a win for Australia, a lot for India to think about.
Yeah, I completely agree there. This test match definitely deserves a proper breakdown. So let's just go into the start of day 4 when India came out to bat, 1 wicket left in the tank. Australia wrap it up. Australia gets into their innings, and then this is where some magic happens. Some magic that we've seen before all tour from that one guy, Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah, no. This was the blockbuster show. This was Constis versus Bumrah. This is what people were turning into, and Bumrah showed him where you have to tip your hat to experience.
Yeah.
And I think that is really what gave not only Bumrah but Team India a lot of that initial confidence as they went about their bowling. How did you look at like sort of the way India bowled, especially those first few overs between Bumrah and Akashdeep as well?
So Bumrah and Akashdeep started off really well, but my bowler for the day was Mohammad Siraj. I think he finally came to play. Finally. And I think he felt the type of way when he was asked to come in for his change. Because Akashdeep opened the bowling. And I think he felt the type of way and he came out guns blazing and he was on fire. And that is what we needed. Bumrah needed that support and he was getting it from Siraj. I think overall India were really good with the ball until they got to about 91 for 6. You can't blame them after because they created chances. Some poor fielding from particularly one player, unfortunately, Jaiswal, that dropped 3 catches. And it turns out those were pivotal moments.
Yeah, no, the age-old saying, catches win matches. And if you drop 3 catches, and these were not, just all tail enders. This was off of a Kawaja. I think it was off of
It was Kawaja, Labuschagne when he was in his fees, and
yes.
then Cummins
Yeah.
as well when it was a forward defense off of Jadeja. And then he went
Yeah.
on to string a little partnership with Lyon.
Yeah, so again, thanks for that, because that does reinforce the point where they were big wickets that had runs at the end of it. So unfortunately, you'd hope he would learn from this, and India's bowling, I think, put up a great fight.
Lots
Siraj
of
and
praise and
Bumrah.
misses.
Yes.
A lot.
Yep, and a lot of hard luck on Kashdeep as well, because he had some misses as well. But unfortunately, just India, I felt like gave Australia a little bit too much rope at the end.
Yeah. It felt like they were running out of steam at the end because at one point they could have wrapped the Australian team under. It seemed like they should have gotten them under 250. When they had them at 91 for 6, I think Australia were only ahead by 190 something because the lead was 105. So they were still under 200. So they had a chance of wrapping the Australian team under 150, which is what I was saying. If they can get them, this is what I said in the previous podcast.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
Where if you get them under 150, like India's in with a sniff of winning it, like more than a sniff of winning it.
They would,
but then
100%.
But then the drop catches, and then of course the bowlers. Eventually you're gonna lose some steam, right? It's gonna be harder to keep bowling that same length on the line after doing it for so long. And so you saw that happening. You saw the Australian tail wag a little bit and ended up dragging that target further on.
Yeah, no, great partnership. Labuschagne, first of all,
Yeah.
I think he made it work for him. I think as you mentioned earlier,
Underrated innings.
underrated innings, a lot of plays and misses as well.
Hmm.
But he's that player that really would dig in and get those singles and work those doubles to put up a score. And he did put up a great fight. And Cummins again, second innings with a 40+ score. I think
Yep.
from a batting perspective, Cummins really pulled up the socks, and those were very critical runs at the end there. And yeah, and then I think as we approach end of play there, it looked like India may have wrapped it up, but wait, no ball again.
Yeah, and you saw that from Bumrah throughout the day. You could say that he was really giving it his all, so he kept overstepping the line. But you can't do that. And as great as he was, like that's a mistake that you can't let happen. And you can argue that okay, if they wrapped it up, then India's into bat with like barely any overs left in the day, not the best time to bat. You could say okay, whatever, didn't hurt them. But hindsight is 2020. What if Australia went on to put more runs on the board to make it completely impossible, right? Not knowing what India's strategy, this is not knowing what was going to happen, right? So you're just thinking like out loud, but it's unforgivable when you have no balls, especially in a test match.
Yeah, no,
When
no,
it's so difficult to get wickets.
no, you're right. The wickets come far in between. When you have
Hmm.
drop catches initially and then a no ball, not only are those runs leaking and wickets not happening, that's also demoralizing as a team. And you kind of did feel that with some of the body language when the catches were dropped, and it's when it was that no ball, it's kind of shoulders dropped again, and it's unfortunate to see.
Yeah. So before we go into day five, just a couple questions on day four. Were you surprised by Australia not declaring towards the end of the day, and also by their willingness to play defensive in a way and just kind of like trickle the score forward rather than accelerate so that they had more time to get India out?
Yeah, no, I thought that was interesting because I had initially thought that Australia would have declared just before end of day, allowing maybe
Hmm.
a couple innings of their bowling attack to India's openers, who were obviously looking vulnerable, Rocham especially. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think then obviously when they were not doing that, my rationale behind that was perhaps they thought that they didn't want to give India that much of a chance. They wanted to put up runs
Hmm.
because of perhaps goes from the GABA that
Hmm.
India could chase, if they get that sniff. So I think they were trying to see maybe bat as much as they could have, and then I think perhaps they were looking to maybe bat up until an hour and a half in the first day, and then they would have declared.
Hmm.
But no, it was surprising to me. What about you? Were you surprised as well?
Yeah. I was surprised a little bit. I thought they'd probably accelerate the scoring towards the end of the day there, and just kind of like get what they get and then declare. But you may be right. I think they didn't want to take any chances with this Indian lineup, so they're like, let's just get as much as we can, and when we get all out, that's when we go out to bowl, which was very interesting. Like it's not usual for Australians to do that. They're very offensive minded. So to see that kind of thinking, but at the end of the day, it's all a game of chess, and they seem to have played it well given how day five transpired. But again, we're looking at it from the angle of day five hasn't happened yet, right? So just from that perspective, it seems strange that they did that. And then the other thought I had when day four happened at the end of day four is okay, maybe they're going to declare overnight. Because sometimes teams do that
Ah,
as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
It's like play on the mind of the opposition. Oh, you're going to come out to field. Oh, and guess what? Actually, you're going to come out to bat, right? So they don't give the opposition a chance to really prepare to bat right away, right? So I thought maybe it's that, but then when I saw them come out to bat again, I was like, oh, okay, they're going to actually drag this along, and yeah, it was very very interesting. So I guess it's a good segue into day five then. So day five comes along, Australia comes out to bat again. I mean to finish off the innings, and then India finally wrapped them up. So the target's 349, I believe it was the target.
Yep.
Yeah,
349.
340.
Oh,
So target
340.
of 340. So go ahead.
Yep. No, no, you're right. I think they made lead to 339 or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 339. So chasing 340. So at this point, what did you feel India needed to do? Did you feel that they needed to go after the runs, or did you feel that they should have gone for the draw when you
Yeah,
saw the
see,
target?
Great question. When you see the target, initially it did seem like a little too much for a chase. It did, but then you look at sort of the players India has, and then I thought that the approach that India would take was let's just see the new ball over in terms of
Mm,
let's 25 overs, 26 overs. Let's keep the run scoring. Let's get a boundary every few overs, but let's just let's protect our 3, 4, 5, and 6, right?
hmm
I At least initially I thought that would have been the approach where let's just see how many runs we get at 24 overs in, and let's
hmm
reassess. Because I do
hmm
think India has a firepower to sort of unleash whenever they could, right? Play those more attacking shots. They have a lot of T20 players as well, so I think if the carrot came closer with a lot of wickets in hand, they could have accelerated. Um, and I think they always wanted to keep that option in the back of their mind. But obviously, I think they would have obviously wanted to protect the wickets first and foremost. So I think, yeah, sorry, to sum it all up, I think they would have had many timestamps in their mind, and if they reached those timestamps, the wickets in hand, they would have accelerated as such.
Yeah, yeah, and I felt that was the approach that they probably should needed to take, and it seems like that's what they ended up trying to do because I think Rohit also shared at the end of the match that that's what they were trying to do, where to get to certain positions and then depending on where they were, assess accordingly, which is the right approach. And so it seemed like that's what they were doing when Rohit came out to bat with Jaiswal. Seemed like they were trying to play out the new ball, but then you had a string of early wickets, so three wickets and the big three too. Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Kohli, all gone within the what was that? The first 20 of the innings. So the new ball is still fairly 26 overs is still good. I feel like it starts getting old after 35, 40 overs ish. So it was still fairly fresh, and so that's three gone, three big wickets gone. And at that point, it seemed like okay, India were going to shut down shop. But then we saw a great partnership that kind of gave us a little bit of hope. Pant and Jaiswal, what did you think of that partnership?
Just before that though, just before
Yeah,
that partnership, because we will
yeah,
get to that.
yeah.
Out of those three wickets, which
Oh,
one were you most disappointed in?
great question. So I saw all three, and I'm playing them all in my head right now. KL Rahul was definitely the best ball of the three. You can't do anything about that, and he's done enough in the series that he was gonna get a great one like that. So you can't say anything about that. Rohit Sharma, man, you didn't need to play across the line to that one. You could have played that straight down the ground. Your classic Rohit Sharma drive, like that's all he needed to do. And then the worst, yes, the worst is Virat Kohli. Come on, man. Come on. Just leave the ball. Leave it, please. That's not even fifth stump. That wasn't even
That
sixth
was,
stump. Bro, the ball was on eighth stump, man. The ball was on eighth stump. Like, come on.
it seemed like he wouldn't even hit it. That's how far it was out, right? Like it was so no, same here as well. Extremely disappointing.
Bro,
And
the ball was almost so wide, man.
no, that's I think what really like just like stabs the heart of Indians, where it's like, oh, we know you're so good, but it's just that one line, that one. If it's there, you always seem to sniff it out.
Well, the man loves the cover drive too much that it's his own downfall. That's just
I
what it
know.
is. It's
You
just
live
what it
by the
is.
sword, you die by the sword, right?
Yeah, yeah, man.
But
Yeah.
then no, to your earlier question, the partnership, that partnership gave me life. I was watching that live. Unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, watching it live, and you saw them, I would say, much in my opinion, mature as the innings went on. They played it very sensibly. They when the
hmm
balls were bad, they hit it. They were, attacking certain bowlers, attacking certain sides, leaving very appropriately. So it did seem like, especially that second session, that it was extremely smooth sailing, and that was a session we didn't lose any wickets. So up
Yep.
until T, my hopes are extremely high, and I'm like, okay, I can see this test match go for a draw for sure.
Yeah.
But India's chances of winning are actually not as low as I expected. They could go for it if they want to. What were your thoughts there?
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like they tried to push it along, but with the amount of overs left and the number of runs remaining, I felt it was too risky to go for the target at that point. It was too late at that point in time. So, but I was hopeful that a draw was going to happen, given the fact there was only one session left. But punt did punt things, and the rest is history after that. What
Stupid, stupid, stupid.
Oh my
Again,
god.
again, again. It was what type of ball Travis Head gave him, and he's like, okay, let's just go for it, and catches Mitch's. Who was it? Mitch Marsh.
Yeah.
And no, that I think outside of Kohli's wicket, that one stabbed me as well. That was an unfortunate wicket, and it was just a stupid shot at the end of it. And that is in my humble opinion, that is what sort of led to the collapse in my eyes. That's what demoralized India, and that's what gave Australia the energy they needed.
I just don't understand it. Like when I watched the highlights in the replay, I'm just like, man, I think it was only a slip and a short leg or a leg slip, something like that, just two around the bat. And everyone was outside. I'm like, what? All you had to do was tap the ball. All you have to do is tap the. Why can't you just tap the ball? Why do you have to go for a six in that moment? I don't understand that.
No, exactly. What's the reward there? You were not looking to accelerate too much, obviously, and you see what they were trying to bait you to do, and you took the bait, and
Yeah,
yeah, you see
bro.
punt go, and then it just snakes and ladders from there.
Yeah, it's like, why would Australia have fielders on the boundary when they know that you're going to go for a draw? The reason why is because they know you're going to try to hit a six.
And of course, he does it on what was it? A dilly Doppler? What was it like?
Not
uh,
even, man. Not even. What do they call pie chuckers?
Tracker, half
Pie
trackers,
chuckers.
pie chuckers. That's
Pie
what it is.
chuckers. That's what Kevin Peterson, shout out to him. That's what he used to call them. Pie chuckers, bro. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh! But then, yeah, punt went, and then Jaiswal gave some hope. But then, and he played for fine knock. We got to
Shout
give
out
him the
to
flowers.
Jaiswal.
He put
Yes.
up he put up a fight for sure. Sorry, go ahead.
Especially after the three drop catches on day
Yes,
four, to have the mentality and the temperament to get that out of his mind and focus on what was at stake with his batting was fantastic to see. Like that showed a lot of character, and he's definitely, we've said this before, he's definitely a lifer in this Indian team. You see him playing for the next 15, 20 years if he stays fit. But that was great to see from such a young man, new to the game, given the day that he had, the drop catches, and the reactions from Rohit Sharma to those drop catches. They kept showing the replays on that on TV. So to shut that all out of his mind and to play the innings that he did, almost getting India home with a draw was good to see.
yeah, no, I don't know how it must have felt seeing your captain react that way, and to your point, coming back and really, I guess, being that sort of lone warrior throughout the entire batting innings was great for him, especially at his age.
310 minutes, 310 minutes
Yeah,
batting. That's 5 hours. That's over 5 hours of batting. That's
yeah.
that's an amazing effort.
And he gets out on some are calling a controversial wicket. Tron, what are your honest thoughts of what you saw there?
Okay, so on first glance, it was tough to see. When I saw the first replay, I'm like, that's out. Because I banked it on the deflection. When I see the deflection, the ball changed its line, its line of path, its trajectory. Right? As soon as it changed its trajectory, I was like, it's done. Like he's out. Right? But then you had Snickle saying other, and when I saw Snickle, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
What?
I got up too.
What?
I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, which way is the umpire gonna go? Is he gonna go with the rules, or is he gonna go with the common sense, right? And for once, they went with common sense.
But hey, I think whichever direction they went, and I think at the end of the day, they chose the right direction.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
sure they would have been called the comments on the other side as well, right? So
Oh yeah,
it was it was a very important time of the test match and a very important wicket.
oh
So
yeah,
but to your point though, it was very clear that the ball deviated from its initial line of path, and
yeah,
it's surprising though that Snickle didn't catch it. That's a different discussion because you need to make sure that if you have technology works and enhances the accuracy of the calls.
yeah. So one more comment on the Snicko thing. So yeah, when you watch the replay and you see the Snicko replay as it goes by the edge, yeah, it doesn't give you a spike, but you can notice that the way the graph is or whatever that thing is, the squiggling line, like there is a very slight jump. So I don't know if maybe whoever's running the software or whoever's managing that needs to sort of create um a scale that shows even a minor movement than that. but then I don't know how much that would affect in terms of how much noise it picks up.
Yeah,
You see what
yeah.
I'm trying to say? Like
No, no,
it
you're
just seemed
it's
like because the edge, the sound of the edge wasn't as loud in order to get that spike. It didn't pick it up, but it may have picked it up on a lower frequency. Is what I'm guessing is the right word there.
yeah, yeah. I know
That
exactly
makes sense.
what you're going at in terms
Yeah.
of the threshold of
Yeah.
what it indicates.
Yes.
It's tough though because I know you want to be careful and you want to make sure that it captures all of that.
Yeah.
But we saw a couple years back when I think it was the last BGT where I think who was it? Tim Payne. He said he didn't edge it, but it seemed like Snicko had caught his foot hitting the ground, and it mirrored the noises. So you just got to be careful with that. And it is technology, but if you're using technology, in my eyes, technology has to enhance the decision. You can't have technology that just goes against the clear, visible deviation, for example, that we saw
Yeah.
last test match. Because then you're
Yeah.
like, oh come on, like Snicko been wrong so many times. Then
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point, right? You wonder how many edges have been missed where you don't see the deviation. Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Cool. So let's give a shout out to as hard as it is to do it to the Australian fight. Like if you put yourself in the Australian team shoes when Punt and Jessel were going and they give the ball to Head, they're saying that they did that to increase the over rate, right? But there's another school of thought saying that it seemed like they kind of like were almost going to give up on the test match, and
completely agree. Completely.
right,
Everyone is tiring out. Stark was tiring out. I completely agree with that take. And it seemed
yeah,
they were demoralized.
yeah, yeah, they were trying anything and everything, and it just felt like another few more overs, and Australia probably would have tapped out, but they just kept fighting, and as soon as they got that wicket of Punt with Head, I think it reinvigorated everyone. And the belief was back. And then they managed to get Jadeja right after, and then Nitish Kumar, who I was hoping he'd do well, but after playing the way he did in the previous innings, it takes a toll on you to repeat that again, right? And
100%.
and I had a feeling that he's not going to do much. I had a feeling he wasn't going to do much, and he got a great ball from line. He got a fantastic ball from line. There's nothing much you could do there, right? And so you had three quick wickets, and it felt like after that, Australia just knew that they were going to get that match.
No, and that's what great teams do. You give them a sniff, and they crawl their way back. And
Mm-hmm.
kudos to Cummins and how he uses bowlers. They were tiring out. Looked like Mitch Stark was really, really feeling it. He was grimacing throughout his overs. No Hazelwood as well, right? We got to
Yep,
remember this is a bowling attack without Hazelwood.
but they don't need him. They don't need him. But
Boland
Scott
came
Boland.
Boland, yeah, incredible bowling, and incredible captaincy. You got to give them credit, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they kind of. I think India's inexperience and their batters being out of form really, really exposed them today. But you got to give the Australian flowers for putting up a great fight.
Yeah, they did what Australians do. They just know how to win. That's just how to put it. They just know how to win. Cool. So, in terms of your MVP for the game, who would you say your MVP is? You can pick one from India, and then you can pick one from Australia. Or I can
I'm
go
gonna
first if you want me to as well.
no, no. I want you to go first.
All right. So I'll go first. So for me, from the Australian side, I feel like this one's an easy one. Pat Cummins for me. I know Steve Smith has had a century. There's some other great performances. Labuschagne as well, double
Yeah,
fifties. Constance with the 60.
yeah,
But I think Cummins for his not only obviously for his bowling, but for his batting and his captaincy. I think all three of those together was amazing throughout the entire test match. Yeah, you could talk about should he have declared in the second innings or not. There's arguments there, but it ended up working out. So just based on bowling and batting alone, definitely a difference maker. That first innings, the 40 odd that he added helped Australia get an additional 75 to 100 lead.
yeah.
Imagine if that wasn't there, right?
Exactly.
India is chasing 240, 230 maybe, right? So yeah, definitely MVP for me. And then from India, the MVP, well, you can't pick anyone else. Jasprit Bumrah.
Boom,
Actually, you
boom.
could you could argue Nitish Kumar Reddy. You could argue Nitish
Oh,
Kumar
very
Reddy.
true, very
Because
true.
without his innings, India's lead would have probably been like 200.
Yeah,
So it's hard to choose between the two because Bumrah helped make it a fight in the second innings, but without Nitish Kumar's first innings 100, you're not talking about Bumrah's second innings because the game would have been long gone by then,
that's true.
right?
Totally.
So maybe I'm going to have NKR with my MVP.
Okay, no, hey, that's a fair take. You know, this test match will have his name stamped on it for his innings, and he played incredible. So no harm in that. And I think from my end, yep, Australia, Cummins, man, incredible. He might as well have been an all rounder this test match, right? He
Yeah,
basically did what Mitch Marsh should have been doing. Amazing with the bat, amazing with the ball, amazing captaincy, amazing temperament. So no, 100% Cummins for Australia, and for India, for me, it's Bumrah. I know NKR played great, but I think Bumrah just really he's the one who put up the fight for India. He came in steaming every time, and Australians were always on the back foot against him. I know Consis wasn't in the first innings, but for me it was Bumrah just because I know he bowled a lot and he put a lot of effort into it. For me, yeah, Vice Captain Bumrah was my MVP.
yeah, can't argue with that. I really think he's the only reason why India is even able to fight in this series.
I
Like he
agree.
literally is the only reason why. If you think about the last two times India won in Australia, it wasn't really a single man effort. It was a team effort. Yeah, you had performances from Pujara and things like that, but from a bowling standpoint, it was a collective. Everyone did their part. But when you look at this series, it's always one person that stands up above everyone else, and it's always Bumrah. And even in this match, 9 for the match, without his performance, Australia probably would have steamrolled to a victory.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think he does instill that fear in Australia.
Hmm.
Whenever he's coming up, the crowd's with him. The I think the momentum of the game is maybe in his pocket sometimes as well. So
Hmm.
no, Bumrah is I think a incredible asset for India, not only in this series but in their future Champions Trophy in England next year. They have to take care of him.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely do. Well, before that though, they got one more. We got one more match in the series, the fifth test coming up in Sydney, starting Jan 2nd. What are your predictions for that test match?
My predictions, I do think India will win. I
Okay.
think India will keep the same lineup.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe they may toy around with Siraj. Maybe, or did he redeem himself? I don't know. I think they should keep the same lineup because I think now this series has gotten personal, and I really think that you got to keep the same boys who've lost and give them a chance to redeem themselves because I think now there's a lot of comments going around, about retirement and people being out of form. So I think give them one last opportunity to potentially win and keep the series tied and retain the Gavaskar Trophy. And if not, then it's open season, right? Then you know where the team is headed. But yeah, that's those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and I love that. And my prediction is I think India's going to win as well. And I could see them keeping the same team. But before I talk a little bit about that, I want to say this is what makes the series so exciting. It's because even though it's 2-1 and there's one match left, and we may end up with a tied series, there's still so much at stake because with a tied series, India retains the trophy. So Australia's still got to work their ass off to at least get a draw or win again. And for India, there's incentive for them to win because they can still retain. Coming out of a series 2-2, you take that any day of the week, especially when you're playing in another country, right? So go ahead.
No. I was just agreeing with you. No. 2-2, you retain it, especially the way the India has been playing throughout this series. A 2-2 result would be a very proud
Oh,
moment for India.
phenomenal. And I agree that they should keep the same group, at least from a batting standpoint. I'm talking about the stalwarts, right? There's a lot of talk
Yes,
around
yes,
Kohli and
yes.
Rohit. I don't think there's any point dropping them out right now. You keep them in, give them one more shot at it to get that to put up something so that they can help India get a 2-2 out of this. And with the bowling, the only thing I'd say is, you know what? I think they have to keep Sundar and Jadeja, and this is where you
Yep.
miss Ashwin because you're
Yes.
not going to give a debut to I think it's Tanush Kotian. You're not going to give him a debut, right? You're not. That's not happening. I don't see that happening at all. And then the only change I can see happening is Akash Deep sitting out and them trying not Rana but another pacer, maybe someone different that the Australian lineup hasn't seen before. Maybe someone like a Prasid Krishna, Maybe someone else is. I don't know. Is there someone else sitting out there, or is it just Prasidh Krishna
Prasid
and Rana?
Krishna, Rana, and then I feel like there's one more.
Yeah, there might be one more, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Prasidh Krishna. I know Mohammed Shami is not coming back, so that's not gonna happen.
No, they
But
had one more, but he I think went back. He was I forgot his name. Very Bhuvneshwar Kumar style bowler. He's great on
Mukesh Kumar, Mukesh
Mukesh
Kumar.
Kumar. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I don't see him playing. If anything, they're gonna bring in a hit the deck bowler. So
Yes.
I could see Prasidh Krishna playing that match just to throw something different at the Australians because they may. It seemed like Akashdeep, even though he's been effective in terms of getting plays and misses, he's just not been able to get the outs.
No, and you need
Right?
wickets. You need to
And
get wickets.
you need wickets. Now, Siraj, I think you mentioned Siraj. I think he's going to retain his spot just the way he played in the second innings.
That's true.
It's I think he knew in that moment that if he didn't perform, he was probably out for the next match, given the fact that he had to bowl first change. So I think he's done enough to retain his spot, and if there is a change, it's going to be Akashdeep.
No. You can see that 100%. You know, but the way that India's been bowling outside of Bumrah, you could see those potential changes or change 100%. So I think it's definitely going to be some thinking for sure for Team India. At least because I think it starts Jan 2nd, so just a few days,
Do you
not
see?
too long actually.
Do you see Gill coming back?
Do I see Gill coming back?
Do you
If
see?
they were to,
Because if so, let me before you answer. So if you look at this test match, they picked essentially you could say five and a half, six bowlers, right? And they mainly used the main four, right? They didn't really use five and six a whole lot. So are they better off going with an out and out batsman then?
well, who would you drop? You can't drop Reddy,
You can't drop Reddy. It would have to be Washi. It would
and
have to
then you
be
got your
Washi.
stalwarts. It has to be
Washi
Washi,
or
exactly.
it has
Yeah,
to be
it has to be
Washi or
Washi.
Jaddu.
But then you're gonna need two spinners.
You think so in Sydney?
But that's interesting though because I see what you're saying in terms of they never really use Washi too much.
No.
So he did have a one great innings. You know that first innings, that partnership, that 50 odd he made was
Yeah.
very important,
Yeah.
and he could bat. So again, I say keep him.
Okay.
I say keep him. Over to
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I think either way is fine. I think either way you're fine. I feel like they need to trust NKR more
Yeah.
with the ball.
Yes.
Right? And then Jadeja, I think he'll come through, especially if the wicket's gonna turn a bit in Sydney. So you can't drop him. So I wouldn't drop Jadeja. I would keep him. So it's either Washi or Gill, and I'd be fine with either or.
Okay. Now again, you just hope that the boys understand how important the game is.
Yeah. Definitely not lost. The series is not lost yet. They may not be able to win it, but they can definitely still retain the trophy. And man, that would be amazing to see if they're able to do that again, because that would mean this Australian team hasn't beaten India, and that would be something to be proud of.
That would 100%. Test matches in Australia, especially, it's crazy.
Yeah, awesome. We can't wait for this fifth test match. It's going to be a humdinger of a test match. It's going to be amazing to watch. We'll see you in the new year, 2025. That's it for today's play. That stops.